They said every Marine earned respect through grit, but some men still believed rank lived only on their collars. Before we begin, hit that like button and subscribe to Kindness Tales, because what you're about to hear will prove that real strength isn't loud. It's quiet, steady, and often underestimated. The day Lieutenant Colonel Mara Hale walked into Camp Johnson, she came dressed in simple fatigues with no ribbons pinned, her hair tied back like any average service member. She didn't arrive with ceremony, and she didn't care for it. Her orders were to conduct a surprise inspection and a leadership evaluation, but only the base commander knew her full identity. Everyone else assumed she was just another officer passing through. And that's where the problem began. Colonel Briggs. Known for his booming laugh and old-school mindset, Briggs was the kind of man who demanded respect without ever offering any. When he first saw Mara reviewing logistics paperwork beside the motor pool, he strutted over like a rooster guarding his territory. "You lost, Lieutenant?" He chuckled loud enough for the mechanics to hear. "Or are you just trying to look busy?" Mara looked up calmly, her expression unreadable. "Just doing my job, sir," she answered. Briggs smirked. "Your job? Sweetheart, your job is to follow orders. Leave the thinking to people with experience." The mechanics exchanged uneasy glances. Something about Mara's posture, quiet, confident, unmoved, felt off, like she wasn't the type to be rattled by anyone, especially not him. But Briggs kept pushing. Over the next 24 hours, he mocked her in the chow hall for eating like a recruit, laughed at her for walking too seriously, and once even corrected her stance during morning formation. Incorrectly. Some Marines tried to pull him aside, sensing he'd crossed a line, but Briggs waved them off. "I've dealt with her type for years. Junior officers with a chip on their shoulder. I'll break her in." What he didn't know was that Mara Hale had spent the last decade leading forward-deployed Marine intelligence units, had served alongside Joint Special Forces, and had been appointed by the Commandant himself to quietly evaluate leadership integrity within the Corps. She wasn't just above Briggs. She was miles above him in authority, experience, and respect, earned on and off the battlefield. The turning point came during a brief on base readiness. Briggs stood at the front of the room, puffed with confidence, clicking through slides he barely understood. Mara sat among the officers, quietly noting every misstep. When she raised her hand to ask for clarity on a data point that contradicted his report, Briggs snapped in front of everyone. "Lieutenant Hale, maybe stick to tasks suited for your skill set, like paperwork or coffee runs. This is grown men's work." The room went silent. Several officers looked at her, then at the door, hoping the base commander would suddenly appear to save the colonel from his own downfall. But no rescue came. Mara's face remained calm, composed. "Understood, sir," she said softly. But inside she made a note, not of his mistake, but of his character. That afternoon, the base commander finally called for a full leadership review, a process Mara herself would oversee. Briggs sauntered into the briefing room expecting to lead it. Instead, he froze. Standing at the podium was Mara Hale, but now she wore her full uniform, silver oak leaves polished, ribbons displayed, badges earned through years he couldn't imagine. She wasn't a lieutenant, she wasn't even a major, she was a lieutenant colonel, appointed as the senior evaluator for Marine Corps leadership ethics, a role with authority that placed her far above him. Whispers rippled across the room. One Marine nearly choked on his gum. Briggs's jaw dropped so far it looked like it might hit the floor. Mara looked him dead in the eyes. "Colonel Briggs," she said calmly, "please take a seat. As the junior officer in this review, you'll speak when addressed." She didn't raise her voice. She didn't mock him. She didn't do to him what he had done to her. And that's what broke him. Respect doesn't shout. It doesn't belittle. It simply stands unshakable. Briggs sat slowly, cheeks red, understanding too late that the Marine he'd tried to humiliate had more honor in her silence than he had in every insult he'd ever thrown. Mara's evaluation reshaped the base. Toxic leadership was rooted out, morale lifted, and for the first time in years, Marines felt heard. As she prepared to leave, a young private approached her and whispered, "Ma'am, thank you for showing us that rank isn't what makes a leader. Character does." Mara smiled. "Remember that, and never let anyone tell you your worth based on what they assume. Before you go, hit like and subscribe to Kindness Tales to hear more stories that remind us true strength is kindness, and real leadership is humility.